Hello online pipe community, Ethan Parsimonious Piper here. Been a couple of weeks since we've done a YouTube Piper's Care. Because I've been off gallivanting all over the place and having fun with friends. Well, we have a long list this week. So let's dive in. Knots and pipes. If you recall, young man, back issues. He is scheduled again to speak to the surgeon, but not until sometime either late this or into next month. He's got quite the wait. And while he does, his situation isn't getting better. Keep that young man, if you would, in your prayers. Piper X1X, Jonathan is having trouble sleeping, having trouble eating. He is struggling right now. Drop by, give him some encouragement, and definitely keep him in your prayers. MidWay Piper shared with us that he is having what he is terming seasonal arthritis. Some of us get that. I used to get red sores in my hands when we lived in Arizona. It wasn't arthritis, but it went away when we moved to North Carolina. So I'm sure it was regional/seasonal. This cannot be much fun. On top of that, his wife is having back pain. Let's keep that young family in our prayers this week. Paladin Piper shared with us, if you've been following along with him for any bit of time, his dad has been in failing health for some time, and he's going farther downhill right now. Keep patting us, folks, in your prayers this week. Brian Quilty lost his mom back in February. His mother-in-law just passed this last week at 100. Nice long life doesn't mean we're ready to say goodbye. Willie Lee Kersey Jr. is job hunting. We all know that's no fun. Drop by, give him some encouragement in that. Jerexify went to the ER with severe pain, nausea. He is seeing some specialists shortly. A young guy. Keep him in your prayers this week. Thepipehunter. Well, he and his wife have been expecting. The joyous day came this last Friday. Daughter born. Everybody seems to be doing well. Drop by, give him some congratulations. Let's see here. Kari is still sore, not sleeping well, but if you've dropped by her channel, she seems to be in much better spirits than she was. Not out of the woods yet. We'll continue praying for you, Kari. Piper Kin, his wife, has been in the hospital all week. Now, you know, he's been having some foot issues, and so is she with a surgery that seems to have gone septic. She has infection throughout her blood. This is probably one of the scariest things that can happen to you in the hospital is getting infected. The stories we hear, let's keep her in our prayers this week. Picking and piping. Matthew asked for prayers for his family. He said they're having some specific issues, but he didn't share the details with me. Well, that's quite okay, Matthew, because God knows them. We will lift you guys up this week. Carolina Rose. What can you say about Rose? She is one of the most loving individuals in our community. Her family needs some prayer right now. She's got a cousin who is in home hospice, who they're expecting to pass any day now. And then today, she has to rush her husband to the ER. He is dizzy and sick at both ends. Just not a good situation. give her some encouragement. She has been such an encourager to so many of us, and keep her and her family in your prayers. All right, let me get relit here. There we go. Last item today is one that has been gnawing at me a bit. And it's one that most of you, if not all of you, are already familiar with. But I want to talk about it a little bit. Week and a half ago or so, Cosmo, CatDadPiper, was evicted from his home and lost possession of his cats. There have been some really, really ugly responses to this happening. Now, from what I understand, I'm not privy to all the details, and quite frankly, neither are you. This was his fault. He could have prevented and avoided it, and he did not. But our response to him cannot be any form of schadenfreude, taking joy in his misery, or the flippant way to respond, and just saying, well, you're getting what you deserve. Well, yes, he is. But I want to tell you, I thank God frequently, probably not often enough, that I don't get what I deserve. You know, in the first few verses of John chapter 8, John tells of Jesus teaching and having a woman who was caught in the act of adultery brought in front of him. Now, we don't know any of the salacious details. We don't need to. We know that technically the law provided for her to be put to death. Scribes and Pharisees around him, in fact, wanted to see exactly how he would respond to this. Well, Jesus bent over and started writing in the dirt. We don't know what he wrote. Some people have postulated that maybe he was writing out some of their sins. We really, really don't know. But eventually he simply said, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." Now, that doesn't necessarily mean let him who has not committed adultery or lust in his heart, but every single one of those accusers walked away. Now, at the end, Jesus looks at the woman and says, is there nobody left here to accuse you? And she says, no, they're all gone. He says, well, neither do I accuse you. Notice he doesn't say, hey, what you did is okay. You're just being you. It's okay to just be you. He doesn't say that. He says, neither do I condemn you. Go, sin no more. Knock it off. Learn from this. Don't keep living the same life. Well, Cosmo, I know you've suffered pain. There's nothing that I or anyone else in this community can tell you that will make you learn the lesson, the hard lesson that you have learned, any better than you have already learned. The only things that we could say would just be piling on. It wouldn't be helpful. They would serve no real purpose except maybe to make the person who says them feel better or superior. I can tell you, I haven't made the same mistake you've made, but I have made mistakes. Some of them I have suffered the consequences, and some of them I have mercifully been spared. Well, I hope that God grants you mercy, more mercy than some of your fellow community members have shown you, and that you learn from this and move on into a fruitful and fulfilling life. With that, folks, light something you like. Spread God's mercy and His grace. We'll see you next time.